Hey there, boys and
Yeah.
girls. What's up? It is the CBC Wizdumb Hour, number 141 for June 8th, Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. I'm Steve Witchell in New Orleans.
What's up, Tony B? Coming to you from New Jersey.
Yes,
What's happening?
I was thinking earlier today, as I was thinking about tonight's episode, I was thinking, man, 141. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody else in my life for 141 hours.
Imagine that. Yeah. I would say you're probably right. The only person I've probably talked to that much is my wife.
But at an hour clip each time,
No.
that's what I'm saying.
Over a lifetime. Yeah.
Over
So
a lifetime, probably a lot more.
141 hour sit downs.
Right.
That's big.
It is. And it's like
That's quite an accomplishment, Steve, that we should recognize
a
because that
wisdom
is
whistle.
141 hours of wisdom. That's a lot of time.
It is a lot of time. But we're happy to have you people join us, you watchers and listeners,
Yeah.
in our wisdom discussions. So if you would like to comment, please do ask questions, comment, complain, whatever you want to do. But make sure you click the link in the description that lets StreamYard show your name, because we're broadcasting on StreamYard and we will address you by name and maybe even put you up on the screen.
Maybe if it doesn't say Facebook user.
Even when it says Facebook user, I put it up on the screen.
All right.
If it's a good comment, anyway.
I guess it's all right.
Yeah. I got all sorts of curls going on. It is so humid here.
Oh yeah, dude, join the club. It's like 90, 92 today and extremely humid.
It's not that hot here. I'm in the deep south and it's not even that hot here. How is it? It's 90. Close enough.
Yeah, it's mega hot here.
Cool. Welcome to summer. It's
all
time.
good.
It's time to party.
Yes, it is. Party on, Garth. Let's do it.
I do have a Garth thing going on, don't I? I just need the Wayne's World hat.
You do.
Somebody send me the Wayne's World hat.
Yeah, we'll have to get you one. Someone will have to work on that.
It's my birthday coming up next month, so
That's right.
Somebody can get me a Wayne's World hat for my birthday, and I'll wear it on the show.
Yes, and gifts are welcome.
Mark says, "What's up?"
What's up, Mark?
Nice to have you aboard, Mark. Is it your first time listening to the Wizdumb Hour, watching the Wizdumb Hour, being a part of the Wizdumb Hour?
Engaging.
I wonder how many people, because we get, I watch the numbers on viewers, and I wonder how many people just watch for a couple minutes or a couple seconds and like, who are these yahoos? But not Jack.
Who are these yahoos with 141 episodes? Who do you think they are?
But not Jack from Australia.
What's up, mate?
He's on the other side of the world.
Yes, he is.
And Mark says, this is his first time. So welcome aboard, Mark. You've missed 140 hours. But we can recap it if you like.
Mark, listen, just find 140 hours of spare time and go back, start at the beginning. And, within 2 weeks' time, you'd be caught up.
That's right. Tammy went to a dispensary in Oklahoma called Wayne's World. A dispensary means a place where you can buy marijuana-related products, I believe.
Yes, like the Ohm used to be back in the day.
Right. One of 19 here. I don't know what that means. Greg says.
Maybe he's one of 19 dispensaries, or maybe he's one of 19 children there. Maybe he's playing in 19 bands.
19 bands. That would be something. I've never played in that many bands. Not at the same time. Anyway.
That's a lot of gigs, man.
Sure is. I feel like I'm playing in 19 bands.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Oh my goodness. It is it's something else. Oh, that's what he meant. He said there were 19 viewers when he came in. Now there's 20.
There you go. He's one of 19.
So somebody else
he's one of 20 now. It's good.
Now he's one of 20. Just keep a running count there, Greg.
He's picking it up.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, since we have new viewers, I'll have to tell everybody what I do. I play bass in a band in New Orleans 3 nights a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, starting at 7 and ending at midnight. So 5 hours with a half-hour break in the middle. And I've been playing in New Orleans for 11 years. full time most of the time, and sometimes more than 3 nights. Most of the time, more than 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights, sometimes 6, sometimes even 7. And right now it's 3 nights, but it's exhausting, dude. It's exhausting.
Exhausting is a state of mind, Steve. We don't tolerate exhausting conversations here.
You're right, and I'm gonna have to get some wisdom from you this hour.
You are gonna need.
Greg's curious if Wayne's World Dispensary was allowed to play Stairway. No Stairway. Denied.
Denied.
Um,
Yeah, no, exhausted. I mean, dude, you just got, life is short. You got to make the most of it. So you got to embrace every moment and just be positive and engaged. And, when you feel exhausted and you feel tired, I mean, listen, you can always recharge, take a nap, but mentally,
I do that a lot.
we got to train ourselves to always be, positive and upbeat and, not exhausted, mentally alert and awake. That is the wisdom that we are trying to bring here, Steve, is always to be
Agreed.
present,
That's the issue I'm having, is the psychological exhaustion, because it's, I mean, we played 3 nights and it was the same exact band Friday and Saturday, which is rare.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we had a different keyboard player. But somebody that we've played with a lot before. It's just it's the psychological of, like, after Friday and Saturday and then getting up on Sunday and thinking, okay, this is the end, this is the end of the weekend, this last one, but it's still gonna be a 5-hour marathon of playing songs. And then, so there's that psychological aspect of, oh, such a long time to be on stage. And then it's easier when I'm there and it's happening, but there's still the psychological aspect of when the songs get called, because we don't have a set list. We just call songs as we go. And when Tracy, my singer, will turn around and be like, I can't get enough. And I was just like, play that song again.
Hey, listen, you could be doing something other than playing in a band making money. You could be doing some other occupation making money of something much less desirable.
I know.
That you don't have to look forward to, So, I mean, think of it, put it in perspective, right? It's like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, dude, I want to be a rock star. I want to tour the world. I want to go. But when you talk to these guys that actually do it, they're dynamos of energy, because think about it. They have to be, right? They're on the road playing 200 shows, for 4 hours at a clip, with a couple of nights off in between here and there. That's real stamina, man, especially if you're a drummer, and in touring,
Yeah.
and for any musician, bass, guitar, singer, like when you see Foo Fighters, it could be their 150th show of their 200 show tour. They got to come out on stage like it's their first show. And
Agreed.
that same enthusiasm, not like, dude, it's 145th show. Oh man, again, we got to play these songs again,
No, I
But
agree.
it's
And
a whole mindset,
yeah, and most of the songs that I play, I still love playing. And it's really dumb, because no matter what, I'm playing notes on my bass. There's 12 notes and I'm playing some of them. And so it doesn't really even matter what song it is. I'm playing, either way, I'm playing notes on my bass. So
Notes on the bass.
we got some good stuff here. Tim first said, have you run across a guitar player in the last name of Chapman in New Orleans? Friend has a son down there who was a player. Does he play a stick? Chapman stick? Get it? Come on, people. No, I don't. I don't know him. Chapman, no. There's a lot of musicians in New Orleans.
That's what I was going to say. There's a lot of players on the scene, so you may not have crossed paths with every single one of them, even though you have quite a plethora of contacts down there since you've been down there. You've played with many people, but I'm sure there's hundreds more.
Right. All right. So this is a good topic for conversation, like Greg says. Have you ever given thought to what age you will continue playing live gigs until, or a physical mental marker that will make you decide to retire? You want to take a stab at that, buddy?
Buddy's not here tonight.
How about Tony? Tony, you want to
think about it though? Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I would
I got to
say
put your name up so I know who you are. Go ahead.
I would think, for me personally, I think the age to not play out live anymore is when you physically, at least from my perspective, drumming, right? Is when you physically can't deliver at the level that you want to perform at, you know? So if you're used to bringing a certain level of musicianship to the gig, when you reach a certain point where, let's say you get arthritis in your hands, right? Or you don't have mobility in your joints, or you're stiff, or you can't execute, you know, on your um, dynamics and on your chops. If you lose your rudimentary mechanics, so to speak, of your muscle memory, that for me would be the point where I have to say, I can't physically play anymore. Or if you find yourself getting tired. I mean, listen, physical health has a lot to do with it too. I think that, there's some guys out there playing that look like they're 70 that are really 50. And there's guys out there that they're in their 50s that look like they're in their, late 30s, early 40s, right? It all depends on how you take
That would
care
be
of
me.
yourself. Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? You don't want to look like a bunch of old guys up there all fat and out of shape, and
That
it,
happens. So
it does happen, and at a point it's like, the band's good, but how are you presenting? So I think it's all a personal preference. And if you have a certain level that you want to perform at, and the band wants to appear have a certain appearance and a marketability, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to decide it when that comes. But personally for me, and I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I think it would be like to the point where if I couldn't physically play anymore at the level I want to play at, I wouldn't be comfortable just keeping time. Even if you could keep a solid groove, but you had no chops anymore, or you could, your hands didn't work, or your feet weren't as fast, or you had back problems, there would be a point where if it was physically taxing, I think that would be, a point where you would say, it may be time to start packing it in. But it is that is one of the great things about music, though. It's not a physical thing like motocross racing or gymnastics or sport, like a football or professional athlete, where, you're going to time out at a certain age. You just,
right,
you're going to have to retire just because your body's physically beat up, or you just don't have the speed and the stamina anymore because, as you get older, your body's not going to be what it was when it was 25.
right.
But as musicians, we can still, as long as we can sing and we can play, we still have our ability to pursue our craft and enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely much. The physical aspect of it is definitely much more of an issue for drummers because drumming is a physical activity. Whereas playing guitar, playing bass, singing, playing piano, you could sit if you have to. On stage, you can. And so I want to put Greg's question up again just so I can. Uh, I haven't given a thought to an age, definitely not to play in live gigs. And as far as a physical mental marker, I haven't. I really have never given any thought to some sort of deadline where, yeah, when I'm 65, I'm going to be done playing music. Like, why? Why would I do that? Because I've been playing music for most of my life. And I don't think that there's any reason for me to set any end date for it. I, but like a lot of what you said is, I agree. Is just if you physically can't do it, then
Or
you
if you
can't
don't
do it.
enjoy it either,
And
if you become such a grind and you're just not digging it anymore, and yeah, there you go. Dale said it, when it stops being fun.
right.
If you gotta pump yourself up to do it, or you're just not enjoying it anymore, then maybe you gotta take a break from it, and step away. Because when you do have a hiatus, you do appreciate it more when you come back, you know?
Yeah.
It's like double-edged sword, right? When you're gigging 8 times, 10 times a month, after a year of doing that, it's like, oh man, you get into that routine. The band sounds killer, everyone's tight, you know what I mean? But it's a huge commitment of your time. Then if all of a sudden you start
Yes.
getting tired of it, or you're having personnel issues in the band, or people are just getting on your nerves, if you do step away from it, or you go play with another band, or like in this instance with COVID, where everyone has to take a year break, now when you come back to it, you're renewed and refreshed. And I think if you're still feeling the same way and you're not excited and renewed and refreshed, then that would be a time to kind of look inside and reflect and say, why is this not doing it for me anymore, or what am I not enjoying about it?
Yeah, and I think it has to be a consistent feeling, because there's times when I dread it. I like, I don't want to go play tonight. But if I was feeling that way every night and every weekend, then I
Yeah,
would say, all right, maybe I should be hanging this up. But it doesn't
sure.
like that. I'm tired, mentally exhausted, whatever. And I just, like, I don't feel like going to play tonight. Um, then I still feel the renewed, sort of refreshed, having the year off. And as we discussed during that year with COVID, I was happy to be off, especially what happened with my arm. But even before that, I was like, yeah, it's nice to just take a break for a while, because I've been playing so much for so long.
Well, and you were playing 5 nights a week for a while there too, before COVID.
Right, right. Um, yeah, this is an interesting take. Kristen said, I feel that when the crowd/fan base loses interest, it's time to give it up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you can always find a new crowd or find a new fan base. um, or you could do something different in music than what you were doing that was feeding that fan base, and find another fan base. So I mean, if she's referring to just like she's in one band and that's their thing and that's it, and then the people just start coming to their shows, and then they could say, okay, yeah, well, we got to hang it up now. So I could see that.
Well, and I think there has to be some diversity amongst it as well. In other words, like, for me, like the teaching aspect of it, the clinic aspect of it, the whole mentoring portion of drums and drummers, and drumming, like aside from being in a band setting, right? As a musician in a cover band, right? There's original music that I pursue, right? That I'm working on. There's songs I'm writing with different people. There's things I'm playing on. There's friends of mine that now wrote things over COVID that they now want to share and put, tracks together. They have rough ideas of songs, and they've become renewed. So I think it depends on the avenue. Like the performance is one part of it with a band, and individual performance in like a clinic setting or a TED talk, let's say, or an instructional setting is something different. Teaching young drummers and watching them develop, over the course of a couple of years and then becoming successful in their own right is another thing that never gets old. You know what I mean? That's something that's always renewed, and you always um, have at least I do have a passion for teaching and sharing that information with younger generations and leave a legacy behind. And, much like we do here, we talk and we banter and we have a lot of stuff, and we kind of bounce off of what people, have comments, and we go all over the place and we meander around and amongst a lot of topics. But I think that, ultimately, we have collectively a ton of experience, right? And wisdom, no pun intended, from all the years of the different musical things that we've done, for over 35 years. So
Sure.
to be able to share that with younger students, is big, and it's also exciting to see their enthusiasm to want to to hear the stories, and they're starting to embark on a journey of, they're maybe in eighth grade or beginning freshman year of high school, and they're starting to get a band together, and they haven't played a gig yet, let's say, and you can impart some wisdom to help them to be confident, to play at their best and not be nervous. And it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake, and those sort of things that, I think it's important to reinforce and tell people that, because they need encouragement. And no matter how good you are, you always like people to come up and tell you how great the band sounded or how much they enjoyed your playing. It kind of reinforces what you do, because you may play 10 gigs and no one really pays attention to anything. You make good money
Right.
in tips jar, and people come up and say, oh, the band sounded great, or maybe they don't say it, but once in a while, one off, someone will pull you aside and say, oh man, I really enjoyed your playing. I used to play bass, and, maybe you inspired someone to get back into it again. So
Yeah.
a lot of avenues to, that music can take you on, right? I mean, like you said, you can do YouTube stuff, you can produce, you can there's such an endless uh wealth of knowledge out there now on the internet, that musically you can do whatever you want, you know?
Incredible wealth of knowledge, and hopefully that's something that we're leaving for future generations, for posterity, for
I hope
these recorded meetings that we have once a week.
141 episodes of
They're going to be, I mean, can you imagine, like, 200 years, that this is going to be like ancient technology and ancient artifacts of, wow, look at that, like 200 years ago there were these Yahoos.
Yeah, guys talking about YouTube now. It's like you can stream a
Right.
hologram live in your living room of anybody. You know.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? 200 years, probably more than that. Paul said 51. He said, I feel like I only have so long that I can keep up the rock thing, but I'm consciously doing more acoustic shows so I can eventually transfer to that and do for many more years. And yeah, that's what a lot of people in that age group do, the 50s and even 60s. And you're cool with it. A lot of them are cool with it. Just going to play a happy hour once a week for 2 hours or 3 hours and make tips and maybe some free beer. And that's it.
Hey, I got a friend of mine, him and his brother are both in their 70s, and they play one-man acoustic shows, full time. That's all they do at senior housing,
There you go.
senior citizens, So they're booked 7 days a week, and it's in the afternoons, like 1 to 4, 1 to 3, you know what I mean? And they
Right.
roll up, set up the PA, and they're a one-man show, and, everyone's entertained for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they get paid good money, and then they split, and then tomorrow they go to a different place. And for them, it's still, and they still do gigs, they still do, bar gigs too, nightclubs and private events. But as a filler, it's something that, and my one friend said to me, it actually brings him some joy because, you know, these people that are in the nursing home don't get exposed to, a lot of live entertainment. So for him to come in there, it's like a big event, they all gather and everyone's excited and,
They have
they're all
flyers up all over the
exactly,
place.
and they're
Like,
singing along and they're clapping and they really enjoy it. So it's that aspect of it too, where, like I said last week when we played that gig, in front of almost 200 people, it's the first time kicking off, Memorial Day weekend that people haven't really been out since COVID, and they just lifted the mask. The bands are all off, and
mhm.
it was really exciting. And people were super pumped and excited and enthusiastic and engaged, to be there. And we're playing again. I'm playing Saturday night, and then I'm playing Sunday. We're playing an outdoor festival for a benefit show with 5 other bands.
Nice. So this weekend you got a double
Yeah, I got
gigs.
double gigs. I got Saturday night and then Sunday, 1:30 to 3.
What's the Saturday night gig?
Saturday night gig is a rock gig at a bar, local in town, outdoor. They have a new pavilion that they built. So we're playing outside 6 to 10, weather permitting.
And what bar is it? A place I would know?
J&S Roadhouse up by me in West Milford. Great
Yeah.
venue, great people, local place. We play there every 6 weeks. It's a regular, in our rotation. And then the Sunday gig, because there's 5 bands, they got backline drums, everything's mic'd up.
Perfect.
Just roll up, stick, cymbals, play, take
Snare.
yes, pedal, snare, cymbals, take it down, and next guy's up and running. So that's
Beautiful.
great. Not to bring anything except, minimal gear.
I love those gigs. I love those gigs because I love music so much and I love seeing new bands or other bands, just even if they're not new to me.
Yeah, and there
That's
could
fun.
potentially be, 1,000 people there, right? Between 5 different bands, and it's a big benefit show, and
Yeah.
they're trying to
And
raise
if it's
money.
nice out, yeah.
That's what I mean, and they have all kinds of other activities going on. It's like a $5 donation, but it's an all day thing. It's like a farm. They have like petting thing, and they have horses, and they have all kinds of animals, and they're gonna have all kinds of food. So it'll
Potato
be
sack race.
yeah, it'll be a good time potentially. If there is, I'll take a picture of it and we'll
You
post it up
should
for next week.
you should bring a potato sack just in case.
Yeah, I definitely should. Potato
Um,
sack champion in my younger days.
Paul said it. He'll rock the nursing home. He'll be a resident, but he'll rock it.
He'll
The
still
great
rock.
thing about playing nursing homes is that nobody yells Freebird.
That's right. Nobody else Freebird.
Unless it's in like 10 or 20 years and you're playing a nursing home, then you're going to have
Maybe. Yeah.
somebody
Could
yell
be.
Freebird.
Yep.
In fact, you might have somebody that only says Freebird. That's the only word they say, and they'll say it over and over again.
That's okay, because you could actually learn it and be one of the only guys to do it.
There you go. And then he'll still say Freebird afterwards.
Yeah, if you had an acoustic and you're just by yourself, you could pull it off.
Say I just played it. Freebird. I just
Freebird. You just missed it, man. Sorry. No repeats.
Okay. You're gonna love this person's name. I don't know how this is a name of a person, but Cool Rush Band says, I'm 65 and I'll be moving an 8-piece drum set fully mic'd 9 times this July. I'm still hanging in there in a cover band. Good for you, Cool Rush Band.
Yes.
I think that's a whole band.
That is the whole band. But I like the fact that he's saying he'll move it, an 8-piece drum set fully mic'd 9 times in July. I'm right with you, brother. And that's that's a good testament. I can remember when we were kids, like in our 20s, and we were touring with Eye of the Storm. We really had no road support, and I was bringing the mega kit, so it was the cage and the double bass, and it was like a 15-piece kit, fully mic'd, and we used to bring it every gig, everywhere, every time. And I can't tell you how many times club owners or guys say like, "You won't be bringing that in 10 years," or "Don't bring that here again. This is not Madison
Don't
Square
bring
Garden."
it.
Yeah. We played Just Jake's in Clifton, and Jake was like, "Don't, great drum set, dude. It's beautiful. It sounds great. Don't ever bring it here again. It's too much stuff."
Especially Just Jake's. That's the elevated stage. You got to walk up the
Yes.
stairs and carry
Correct.
that. Yeah.
Correct. And we set it up. We had sequencers and full PA, and we used to go. So I'm with Cool Rush Band. Like we would say, we are until the day we die, we are bringing mega gear. We're not going to strip down to like a 3-piece kit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Cool Rush Band's name is actually Mark Sinatra, which is almost as cool.
Yes.
He's the drummer for a local band in San Diego. And I'm guessing that the name of the band is Cool Rush. And they have a page here or something called Cool Rush Band.
Nice.
Unless they are a Rush band and a Rush tribute band, and they're calling themselves Cool Rush.
Cool Rush Band. Yes.
It could go either way. I'm gonna guess the former, that the name of the band is Cool Rush, which is a cool name.
It is Cool Rush.
Who doesn't like a Cool Rush?
Everyone likes a Cool Rush.
Tina asks, anyone have any tricks for recovering back-to-back gigs other than the obvious rest? And I'm guessing, Tina, that you're a singer and that you're talking about recovering from singing, because recovering for anybody else is just like a matter of rest.
Well, top tip is don't drink.
Don't drink. Chris Yoder says water.
Yep.
Water is excellent. And definitely rest. Don't talk a lot. Warm up your voice. Definitely warm up your voice before you go to the gig.
Hydrate.
10, 15 minutes warming up your voice.
Yep.
And yeah, if you're drinking, don't drink a lot. Definitely. But I mean, because I've known singers that drink their faces off and they can still sing great. So
listen, again, everybody's
not to encourage that or anything.
No, but some people can also drink, and get hammered and go up and play drums. Great, or play their instrument. Great. Other people drink, and after 2 drinks, they're starting to, they're not in the zone anymore, so to speak. But I think
I'm sorry. I think if I was hammered, I could play drums great.
You probably could. But I mean, like you said, besides the obvious, rest, hydrate, back to back. I think mentally, I think the biggest aspect of that recovery is just the attitude, like we talked about earlier. If you have a gig Saturday, let's say you have a Saturday night gig, right? So Friday night's gig, if you're not a full-time musician, you'll be doing it after your day gig, your daytime job, right? So I would suggest you try to load the night before, so you're not getting home from work Friday trying to load all your stuff into your car, take a shower. You know what I mean? Like you'll be rushed out of the gate. If all your stuff's already loaded up, you get home, take a shower, you can eat, you can, then make your way over to the gig. Then for the net, but I think the mindset is you got to talk yourself out of, oh man, I'm tired,
Right.
And then the next day, Saturday, like, oh, I got to get another gig tonight. This is, this is going to blow. You got to be excited about it. Say, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to play again, 2 nights in a row, because I may not play for another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or maybe you have back to back, like Weisenheimer used to do back to back, sometimes twice a month. We play a Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, something like that.
Right, sure.
And
yeah,
it's just a mental thing. You just have to get yourself, excited about it. That's all.
Yeah, she said, "Got it." Lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, kind of, but all good tips. And I would also recommend breathing exercises. I've been doing breathing exercises lately for the last like month and a half, 2 months. Daily breathing exercises just for my well-being. I've been doing them.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found that it's definitely helping me with singing. Because obviously singing, you need good breath control. You need to be able to breathe deeply, and just doing the breathing exercises just to help my spirit is helping my singing too. Because I'm singing a lot, really, in the band, and whereas like maybe 5 years ago or so, I would have struggled with certain hitting certain notes or the stamina of singing back to back songs. Now I'm not as much, and a part of that was quitting smoking too. So that helped me a lot. But yeah,
I
uh,
think part of
Chris,
the
yes, that's a great tip. Yeah,
But I think also as equally as important as that is for a singer is being able to hear yourself at the gig. Having a great
yes,
monitor or having in-ears. This way you're singing, you're not yelling. And that,
yes,
because you can blow your voice out in the first set. Now you got back-to-back gigs and, it's gonna be a struggle the rest of the night, and then tomorrow, depending on how the PA is, it may be just as bad. So I think that's a big thing. When you can hear yourself and you're not, blowing your voice out. Yeah, see, Tina's saying yes. That I think is the biggest saver, because then you're singing comfortably as you would if you were home warming up. Then all of a sudden you get to the gig and the band's real loud, or the guitar player's too loud, or the room's boomy and you can't hear yourself, and the monitor's not enough, and now you're overdriving your voice to try to compensate. And
yeah,
3, 4, 5 songs in, you're like, ugh.
yeah.
Yeah,
See,
in-ears is huge, because you're not locked into first of all, you have some isolation, right, from the rest of the music on the stage. You have the ambient stage noise is kind of suppressed a little bit, and you're not relying
a
on
lot. Yeah,
a monitor that other people might be sharing, or it's down on the floor pointing up at you. In-ears, I remember when we went to in-ears, like the first gig, I was amazed. Said that can never go back to a regular monitor again.
yeah. I'm in a situation now where I'm not using in ears, but the monitor setup is excellent. We have four that are flown in the front of the stage, and then one right that's up on the ceiling right by me. I stand in the backstage left, and there's one that is right there for me. And then the drummer has his own monitor. However, that monitor was blown on Friday this
The
past
drum
weekend.
monitor, or the one by you?
No, my monitor.
Okay.
And my monitor, I get my vocal and I get mostly my vocal and guitar, because guitar player is stage right all the way on the other side, his amp is facing out. I can't really hear him too well unless I have him in my monitor. And then I get some of his vocal as well in my monitor. But it was blown on Friday, and I didn't have, so I had to rely on the monitor that's stage left all the way in the front, flown in front of the keyboard player. And I mean, it's only a few feet, but it makes such a difference where you're standing on stage, on how well you can hear yourself. So
Oh yeah.
I had to sing basically with no monitor. I mean, I could still hear myself, audibly, but not as clear as I would, as loud as I would with my own monitor. And it definitely, it does make a difference in the way I sing, because I'm like trying to hear myself, so I'm trying to project more and I'm shouting more and I'm using more of my throat than instead of my head, and um or and then by Sunday we had it all back normal, dialed in, and by Sunday my monitor was cranking, and it was actually too loud. I had him turn it down, but where I could just basically whisper in the mic, and it was going out. So it made a huge difference in how I felt, how my voice felt, and the ease of singing.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing when you go to, like, a concert, when you go to, like, an arena and you see a band,
Yeah,
typically, you don't realize how loud that lead singer's, not only the mic, but his monitor is. I mean, he's barely talking into it, and it's blaring loud. So when he's screaming, those notes out, he's not screaming like you or I would be if you were yelling across a field to somebody like, "Steve." He's just singing it, but it's coming across, at a tremendous, you know, volume and energy and power because of the amplification. So I
right.
think that's, if you don't have a sound man or you don't have a sound person for your band, like you have that luxury where, the clubs you play in have a built-in PA with a sound guy, right? So once you get PA
Ideally,
up and
yeah,
running, ideally, but when you have to, like, a lot of times we're bringing our own PA, so when you have to bring your own PA, you have to tweak it a little bit depending on the room and how sophisticated your system is. If you play the same place all the time, you can save a scene in your monitor, in your mixer. Sometimes, if you have a more up to date modern mixer, right? So when you get to that room, boom, you bring up the scene, and it's already, once you've dialed in that room, you can recall it, anytime you want. But if you're playing outdoors or you're in a new room, you want to get there early and set up it, because if you don't have time to sound check and get good sound, then you just start winging it. And, it makes, like you said, all the difference in the world. When you can hear yourself and you're not struggling, you can focus on what you're, on playing, and not focus on trying to constantly battle against these inconsistencies.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's another point to definitely not overlook is the getting a good sound check. If you can, make sure you definitely get a good sound check, and most people know that already, I guess. But it's still a good reminder to like, oh yeah, I got to make sure that I'm going to really be able to hear myself when the band is full on, because sound check typically, if you're just two on the mic, two, you're not playing with the
Oh no,
full band with the
you gotta play a
full
full band
volume.
song, yeah, where everyone's singing
You
and it's for real.
ideally, you want to do a line check for everybody, and then set your volume where you think it should be. Have it, and then do a full band sound check, at least a half a song, if not a full song, and then make your adjustments accordingly from there. And of course, too, in a perfect world, you have a soundman that's there all night that is responsive to you, that will help you out, that you can hand signal to, like like turn the guitar up, and they'll understand and they'll do it, and then they work with you well. So that all contributes as well.
And don't forget also be open-minded to when, the fans come up from the audience and say, "Hey, I can't hear that when the keyboard singer sings, we really can't hear him. Can you turn him up?" Or the guitar needs to be louder, you know? Like it might be blasting loud where you're standing, but if 2 or 3 people come up to you and say they can't hear the guitar or they can't hear that keyboard vocal, you know what I mean? You want to address that because it may sound great on stage, but out front it's not getting out, it's not getting to the people.
Yeah, that's happened a
So,
lot
you know?
before.
Yeah,
And
especially when you're like halfway into the first set too. Like your sound check might be fantastic, Now 2 or 3 songs later, now the room fills up with more people, the acoustics change in the room and certain frequencies get mitigated to where now, that guy's vocal sounded great before, but now there's 100 people in the room and for whatever reason you can't hear him.
right. Yeah, that happens a lot. I love it when somebody comes up to me and I have absolutely no control over the sound or anything, and somebody comes up to me like, "Hey man, I can't hear the guitar player." Like, all right, what do you want me to do? I thanks.
Yeah, and there's
They're
not
just
even a
they're
guy.
just trying to help.
Yeah, but there's not even a guy in the sound booth that you could, motion to, right?
I'd have to say, yeah, go wake up the sound man. He's asleep in his car outside,
Yeah, exactly.
or he's outside smoking a joint. Go get him. And
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. If you have an attentive sound guy, typically that stuff doesn't happen. If you have a guy who's at the board, not
right,
just set it and forget it. He's adjusting as the acoustics in the room change and as the crowd fills up, and as the songs progress too. As the band becomes more energetic and everyone's playing, they're digging into it a little harder. And second set's got some more rockin' tunes, and you may be playing with more enthusiasm. You're digging in a little more. The drummers, laying into it a little bit more. Everyone's just, singers got a little more power, and all of a sudden everything's getting progressively louder, or the band is creeping up in volume and it's starting to drown out the vocal, a lot of
yeah,
stuff, it's a lot to be cognizant of. And you're fortunate if you can set it, halfway through the first set into the second set and the room is pretty consistent and you don't have to keep adjusting it,
yeah.
once you find the sweet spot.
Yeah, it's about finding that sweet spot. But we are lucky, as weird as it is, as screwed up as it is, that there's one sound man basically that does 5 or 6 clubs a night on Bourbon Street. He does a good job at dialing us in, and he'll dial us in, he'll listen to a couple songs, make any necessary adjustments, and if we have anything that we want adjusted, he'll do it, and then he'll split and he'll go to some of the other clubs, and he'll always say, "I'll be back." And he'll always come back, within an hour. He'll come back and he'll listen again. So that's generally a good gauge from that first hour. Like, how is it going to be for the whole night? But he knows the room well. Whether it's packed or empty. He knows how to.
Sure. Well, that's
Not
it
that
too.
it's
If you have a
everywhere.
guy that's familiar with it and it's his system, it's a lot. You're gonna have a more consistent sound for sure. Especially if, like you said, you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Same band, same PA, same sound guy. It should be fairly consistent.
Yeah, but as Gary points out, temperature and humidity changes cause needs for adjustments too.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely the truth. With especially. I don't know. Yeah, your voice is going to be affected by temperature and humidity, and everything else. Wood, if you play a guitar, and drums are made of wood too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will be affected, sure. By
A lot of
temperatures.
factors go into it, but it's all about I think it still comes down to your overall perspective and your attitude, because shit's going wrong and you start getting pulled into the drama of the things going wrong. It's just it just escalates and spirals into downward down the toilet. You know what I mean? When things are going wrong and you can stay composed and be like, okay, we're just going to power through it. It,
Agreed.
your energy is going to create a better, outcome. Same as if you're tired and you have a gig that night. If you keep focusing on how tired you are and how dreaded you are for the gig, it's going to be like that the whole night. You won't all of a sudden get there on stage and be alive and awake and ready to go. But if you go into it with an attitude of, you're excited to play, can't wait to get there, it's also collective energy. If everyone in the band's kind of like, hey man, what's going on? Or if people are like, yo, dude, good to see you, man. How's, what's going on? And,
Right. That's true. That's true. But I mean, I disagree in that it can't snap change like that, because I've definitely been in that situation where like, I don't feel like playing. And as soon as I get there, like there's people in the club and everybody's dancing and there's music playing. And now that I'm like, all right, okay, I'm awake now. I'm ready to go.
Sure.
So that definitely affects me. But I was going to say something and I completely forgot.
Steve. It's all good.
Yeah. Collective energy, you were saying, energy, and yeah.
If everyone in your band's down, then you'll be down. But whatever thought you had, it'll come back, Steve, at some point, as it always does.
It's flying around the room somewhere.
It's like a boomerang wisdom. So just be careful. It's going to come back and hit you. And then when it hits you, you go, oh, dude, I remember now what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And then you can come back to it.
Yeah.
But all good stuff. And I think, the other thing too is even back-to-back gigs, if you're not playing every single weekend, like if you have a week or two off in between your gigs, it's just it's a back-to-back doubleheader weekend, but it's like, we've talked about in the past, the more the band plays consistently and in shorter time intervals, the tighter and better it gets. Like you could have 2 killer shows. If you don't play for a month, it's almost like starting over sometimes. If you play every other week or every 2 weeks, you're consistently gigging. At least there's a routine to it. And rehearsal is another thing. Like the band I'm playing with now, the OC5, is one of the first only bands I've played in a long time that actually rehearses consistently. Every week or every other week, learning new material, going over vocals, just polishing up things, which is cool because I've always played in situations where you just show up and play. Learn the song, show up and play and know your part and sing it. And, if something's really challenging, then you might have a rehearsal to go over. Like if we were doing a wedding, you might go over and brush up on some of the wedding tunes and make sure your tempos are good. If you haven't played weddings, week in and week out, if you have a couple of weddings a year, and you have months in between, that could be cause for some rehearsal. But it's just refreshing to actually get together and rehearse. And
it's great.
It makes the band a lot tighter than just showing up and playing, no doubt.
Yeah, rehearsals are hard to come by for me down here, and it just doesn't really happen.
Well, so, I mean, it's never, it hasn't happened for me in years. This is the first band I play with in probably 10 years that actually rehearses consistently.
Well, you rehearsed with Weisenheimers.
Yeah, but not every, like, once a month, maybe,
Okay.
Or if we were gigging like a lot, we weren't rehearsing, like I said, unless we had a wedding or a private party where the guy had, 10 songs or 15 songs they wanted us to learn, we would just go over them to shake them out.
Right. But I do remember the boomerang came back. I'm aware of it. Like when I'm on stage, I'm aware of, I'm aware of the fact that I'm like, okay, maybe I'm mentally dragging here. And I really intentionally will get myself back into the moment and be present and realize the gift that I'm enjoying of playing bass guitar in a band on a stage on one of the most popular streets in the world, in one of the greatest music cities in the world, and get paid for it. So I constantly have that awareness, even when I'm feeling like, I snap myself back. I do it, and that does help a lot.
Yeah, as soon as you recognize those things, it puts you in a different mindset, and you become more excited about it, and you're enthused and you're, like you said, appreciative of it. And I think too, from a drummer's perspective, like you're steering the energy of the band overall.
Sure.
If the band's all upbeat and cranking and it's a fiery song and you're just kind of back there laying it down and ho hum, you know what I mean? It's gonna come across that way, 100%. But when the drummer's leading the charge, you know what I mean? It makes a big difference.
Right.
And that's not you know, that's when you lean on your drummer. Yeah,
I
exactly.
used to do that to Tony, but then he would push me off because I was sweaty.
Yeah, and I'm playing with one hand. I'm like, dude, come on, back off, get off. But no, 100%, right? Because and not to tout or promote drummers' egos or to keep reiterating why it's called a throne, the seat that we sit on. But it
Mhm.
is consistent where the energy of a drummer definitely steers the ship, and that's just a fact of music.
Yes, we bow to you, O kings, O mighty kings of the throne,
Yes, my loyal subjects.
with weapons in hand.
Yes, yes, you have axes in hand, correct.
You
Us
have you have
drummers,
weapons in hand that
we
you
have
can
sticks.
throw.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. I have a whole bag of sticks here I can fend off villains.
right. Sticks and
Yeah.
cowbells and
But you wanna be
triangles
you
and
know, you wanna be cognizant of that too, like, if you're playing, "Won't Get Fooled Again" by The Who, you gotta embody that energy that Keith Moon brings to the song. You can't play the song perfectly note for note, but with ho-hum enthusiasm, you know what I mean? Like, you may have, executed it technically correct, but the whole
yeah.
emotional.
Good luck with that. Won't get fooled again.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's one of those songs where you have to embrace and embody that spirit and energy that drives that song, and not be so. There's certain, as unorthodox as a style as Keith had, you can definitely, there's a structure to it if you listen to it enough,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's definitely a way that he's thinking about how he's approaching that music. But it's with
Uh,
reckless abandon most of the time, you know,
all the
you know,
time.
but in a controlled setting, like he's not really, he's not blowing fills and speeding up and slowing down a lot, but he's consistently right on the edge of your seat. So you have to play it that way. If you don't, it's not going to come across to the audience with that kind of energy.
The thing about the Who, because I'm a huge fan of the Who, and the thing about the Who in their classic days, especially their live performances, it would be like Keith Moon, John Entwistle, and Pete Townsend were all just soloing for like minutes at a time.
Right.
They're all just playing their own thing, but somehow it's all working together. Like
Yep.
Keith Moon just would never play straight. Ta, ta, ta. He was
No, he's
a
constantly
wild
moving
man.
around the beat. Yep.
He was animal in the flesh, animal from the Muppets.
Yeah, but it's fun to play things like that because it makes you appreciate his creative genius,
Sure,
and his
sure.
mindset in creating those songs, like you said, just sitting down and doing his thing, which is why you, me, all these people that are in the group, people that are listening tonight, they all have their own unique talent and they're a unique energy and sound that only they can get from their instrument, you know, and
Including voice.
and including voice, correct. And I think that's what makes it great because you're not going to be like anybody else ever.
Agreed. I'm going to go way off on a tangent here, but speaking of what makes it great, the Rick Beato series.
Yes.
That's what makes the song great.
Yep.
There's a guy, I don't have his name, but you guys can look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious. A guy started the series called "What Makes This Song Stink," and he's and he references Rick Beato right away. He says, Rick Beato has done this series, and this guy is funny. He's really funny, and the way he put together the videos, he's not copying Rick Beato's style of putting together videos. He does his own thing,
Right. Right.
and it's clever and it's funny. And
That's cool.
he's done 3 videos so far, and the first song he did was "Kryptonite" by Three Doors Down.
Uh-huh.
What makes the song stink? And it's so funny. And Kryptonite is a song that we play every time we play. I sing it every time. I have sung Kryptonite, I don't know, 800 times. I don't know how many times.
We do that song in the select rooms also.
Yeah. And it works. It works great. But
Yeah, people love it.
but this guy doing that, what makes the song stink? You guys can look it up on YouTube. It's funny. And the second song he did was "All Summer Long" by Kid Rock.
Okay.
Which is, everybody knows it's I was gonna say rip off, and it really is a rip off, but it's
a tribute, Steve. It's a
tribute
tribute
to Sweet Home Alabama
Yes.
and Werewolves of London,
Yes.
which both have the same D, C, G chord
Yes.
progression.
Yep.
And I watched those two, and those two were funny. And then the third one is which I didn't watch yet, which is Beverly Hills by Weezer. It's the song he picked.
Okay.
What makes the song stink?
I have to check it out.
If you want a good laugh, because I think he really genuinely does not like these songs. I don't think he's pretending.
No, he probably has a whole bunch of songs that he doesn't like, and he can't wait to make the videos about them.
Right.
Which I admire his commitment. That's what's going to make them authentic, and it's going to make it engaging, right? Because he's got passion about it.
Yeah. In fact, I sent him a friend request, and he accepted it. So I got to get in touch with the guy. Maybe we can have him on here or something.
Get him on the Wizdumb Hour and tell him.
We should get him on Wizdumb Hour. He would probably do it because we're promoting his stuff.
Exactly. He's looking for some promo.
Yeah. Ray said Beverly Hills is fun to play. A lot of Weezer songs are, to be honest. And people, Beverly Hills is one song that goes over so well. And I don't play it here in New Orleans, but I know I've seen bands play it. I may have played it once or twice, but I know it goes over.
The first time I ever played it was someone requested it at a private party, and the guy was like, "You have to do it. It's like my daughter's favorite song." We're like, "Okay, no problem." And it was like, "Do any of you guys know it?" And they were like, "No." And the keyboard player, who was a sub, was like, "I know it, and I can sing it." So we're like, "Cool." So took a break, went on our phones, brought it up, listened to it, and came back and played it.
Really? That quickly?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's all that difficult.
Don't forget the keyboard player knew it already, and he was singing it. So we just need to know the changes.
Okay.
And the drums are not like Keith Moon or Neil Peart or anything. It's pretty straight ahead, so it's not that hard to digest.
Yeah. I've never actually sat down and learned it. I don't like it myself. Like if it comes on the radio, I'm turning that song off.
Yeah, and we didn't play it again after that. Like even though we knew it was like, yeah, if someone requested, we can bring it back.
But people love singing along to that chorus, man.
Yes, they do. They do.
Beverly Hills.
They love it. You know what song I heard today? Limp Bizkit, Rollin'.
Rolling.
Yeah.
Rolling. Yeah, I remember that one.
What a rocker, man. I haven't heard that in ages.
Yeah. But Greg says almost all Weezer songs are fun to play. We used to do Hash Pipe. That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a good tune.
What other Weezer songs? I don't think I did any other Weezer songs.
No, Beverly Hills was the only one that we ever did.
Hash Pipe's a good one. I should try to bring that one back. That's tough to sing though. You got to have that really high falsetto.
Yep.
I don't even think my female singer could sing that.
Wow.
Yeah, this is Greg said my own worst enemy and nothing.
Yeah.
Song, and that I would want to suggest it to that guy to do that song.
Oh, that's yeah, but that song is played, like he just said, everybody loves that song, man. You start playing that song, everybody knows it. Everyone starts going crazy.
Forget it, man. Yeah, absolutely. Works every time.
10,000 times later, it still goes over. Big time.
As soon as it's one of those songs that immediately, as soon as it starts, people start cheering. Yeah, it's a headbanger. It's a sing along. Please tell me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got all the elements. This like Sweet Child, another one like that. Anytime we play Sweet Child, as soon as it starts, people just everybody cheers. Sweet Home Alabama too.
Yep.
Which I sing every freaking night. Sweet Home Alabama. And see, I just did it though. I was like, I love singing it. I sang it.
Sweet Home Alabama is going to get any better than this right now, Steve, for this one song. That's the attitude you got to have. Then when that song's over, the next song on the list is going to be just as great.
You're right. And sometimes I sing it twice in a night, Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, because if you really dislike doing a song, I mean, it's borderline. Sometimes you can convince the band, it's like, I just don't want to do it,
Yeah. No, not that song. There's no way.
No.
I do like singing it. I think I sing it fairly well, and I do like it. I especially like songs that I sing that where people are singing along, where I'm looking out and I can see mouths moving while I'm singing.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking of that, one of my favorite things that I enjoy that makes me always cracks me up when I'm playing is when I'm watching somebody who's like really into it, probably a little drunk, usually a girl. Sorry, ladies, but usually a girl watching and singing along, but doesn't know the words, but they're still trying to sing along.
Yes.
And you can watch like their lips moving and it's not matching the words at all, but they're convinced,
But they know the Sweet Home Alabama part.
I'm not talking about that song. I'm just talking about any song.
But I mean,
Like,
typically they know the chorus, you know?
yeah, but that song too, they might not know the lyrics in the verse, but they're trying to sing along and they're getting it completely wrong, but they're still moving their lips and stuff. That always cracks me up. I
And
love it.
and that gets back to the perspective thing earlier where you're like, "Oh, I gotta sing this song again."
Right,
But
right.
but you see, 50 people in the room, drunk, dancing, spilling drinks on each other, having a great time, trying to sing along, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we're there. We're making that experience for them. It's not all about us enjoying playing the song, right? It's that we're performing. We're there as entertainment. We just happen to enjoy what we do immensely, you know?
Yes.
But when you do have doubts and say, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't feel up to par, like, like Zach Risby used to say to me, he's plays with Kansas now, but when we played in the band together, he would always say, like, it doesn't matter if you worked in the studio, a 20-hour marathon session and then packed up and came to the gig. I might be working on no sleep or an hour sleep or a nap. But when you hit the stage and it's showtime, you can't suck,
You cannot
you
suck.
got,
And
you got to bring it.
yeah, and I'm still aware of that too because of the contemporaries that I'm with.
Yeah.
I'm playing with people who are very talented, and I have to make sure I'm bringing my A game
Hmm.
every time, and I'm aware of that. I'm because people we know each other so well that you'll notice just the littlest flubs or whatever, and somebody will notice it on me, and I don't want to rock the boat like that. I want to make sure I get my job done.
And you're like, Steve, what are you doing over there?
And I'm like, I'm taking a nap. Wake me up. Wake me up when we have to do Sweet Home.
Yeah. But you're right. You don't want to be flubbing notes every
This
song.
is one I can't stand though. Greg, he said he refuses Sweet Home and Brown Eyed Girl and Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Those are all Freebird. $50 a request, 100 to play. It's funny. Brown Eyed Girl is one I can't stand, man.
Refuse to play.
I don't like Brown Eyed Girl because they always make me do a little bass solo in that
Doop,
in
doop,
that
doop,
bass
doop,
drop
doop,
down part,
doop,
and I don't
doop,
want a solo
doop,
in that
doop,
song
doop, doop, doop.
because it's just a weird groove to solo in, and it's G major, and it's I don't know. I'm not comfortable soloing.
Embrace the challenge, Steve. Growth
I do.
only happens when you're uncomfortable.
I'm saying
Come
I
on.
do it. I do it. I just don't like it. If somebody calls that song, it turns my stomach. But I'll do it anyway.
All right.
Ray says he refuses to play. Did I just have a rate? He refuses to play Freebird. But what we do in New Orleans is we say it's $100 for Freebird, and almost every time somebody comes up and gives us $100. So
It's on sale tonight for $100.
on sale, right? That's how it works,
It's discounted.
right? But that's how we do. We're playing for the people, not for us. So that's what we do.
But you need
And
one or two self-indulgent songs. You always got to have at least
sure,
a couple of songs in the night where you're totally looking forward to playing that song,
right.
for whatever reason.
That's why I like doing new material.
Yep.
Which I have this coming week. We're doing a couple new songs, which I'll tell you about next week. But everybody
Nice.
out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of Cover Band Central. Check out coverbandcentral.com. You can sign up for a profile for you, your band, or both. It is free. And there's also a lot of other material on the website, like a meme gallery and a whole host of articles, informative and funny and entertaining and all that. So please check that out. That is the hub for all things Cover Band Central. Thursday, I'm doing a webinar with this guy who has a site called Book Live Pro, which helps musicians get gigs and put you out there in a database. And it's a free webinar that's going to be at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on Thursday. So check that out. It will be on the Cover Band Central page in the group and on YouTube. And yes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where all these old Wisdom Hours, the past, not old, but past Wisdom Hours,
The archives
are archived. And also the daily videos that I do, Motivation Monday, Tribute Tuesday, whatever, Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, and Funky Friday.
Yeah.
Those are all here on YouTube. So go to YouTube, subscribe to that channel. And that's a quick hour. Thank you guys again for watching, for being a part of this.
A wrap.
You guys rock. We'll see you next week.
Cover Band Central.